Let's talk a little bit more about plagiarism. This is English 101, week 7.7. But again, valuable for all my students. Plagiarism in the real world gets complicated very quickly. Quentin Tarantino is one of my very favorite directors. I love Quentin Tarantino movies. I love Kill Bill. Um, One of the things that happens in Kill Bill, though, is Tarantino loves old kung fu movies from the 1970s. He loves them. He loves them so much that he frequently will take music from the old movies and put them in his movie. And he paid for them, and there are credits in the. If you watch the closing credits, he says exactly where he got it from. But if you don't watch while you're watching the movie, you don't necessarily know who wrote that music, and and again, it's in the credits, so he's safe. But he does other stuff too. Tarantino will take exact lines of dialogue, costuming. He will take fight moves, like very specific fight moves, like somebody slashing here and here. It's from a famous movie called Ichi the Killer, where the character has these big slits in his cheeks, and Tarantino will copy it. Or he'll take the music from a cowboy movie, but he'll also take the hatchet, and he'll take a sound effect from the movie and put it in his movie. Or he'll take a line of dialogue, and he'll copy it directly. So, for example, there's an old movie from the 1930s called His Gal Friday, and it's about this divorced couple, and the old ex-husband meets the new husband, the new fiance, and says, "Well, I've always been pretty particular who my gal marries." In Kill Bill, Bill says exactly the same thing to Uma Thurman. There's no footnote. There's no information where he got that from. Tarantino does this like 100 times in Kill Bill. He takes music cues, he takes lines of dialogue, he takes fighting styles, he takes outfits. The black and yellow outfit that Uma Thurman wears in Kill Bill, and I'm going to have some videos in part of the series to show you what's happening here. But the outfit that the main character at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1 wears is a copy of an outfit that Bruce Lee wears in a kung fu movie from the 1970s. Exact copy. It's a yellow outfit it's a yellow jumpsuit with black stripes on the side. So it's he takes these things directly, and he does that like 100 times. And honestly, he does it in a lot of his movies. Here's the problem with Tarantino. A lot of people watching Tarantino have no idea where he's taking this stuff from. And so it feels a little bit like Tarantino is plagiarizing. And a lot of people, including my dear friend Wendy, will tell you that Tarantino is a plagiarizing hack. I don't think he is. And I'll tell you why. One of the ways to test for plagiarism is if a student steals a paragraph off the internet, right? And I tell them, hey, this is not your work, this is off the internet. They're very upset. They're upset that I've discovered this. This is a problem. They don't like it. Because they were trying to trick me. Right? And the fact that I found out that this paragraph from their paper actually came from the internet, and that they made that paragraph look like they wrote it, but actually it was from the internet, they didn't write it, they're upset. But if you told Tarantino, hey, Tarantino, I noticed that sound effect was from this old, that Uma Thurman's outfit from Kill Bill is actually a copy of this old kung fu movie, Tarantino would not be upset. He wouldn't be angry. He'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a great movie, isn't it? That's one of my favorite movies of all time. That's why I had her wear the outfit that was the same as in the old movie. So it's not plagiarism. The plagiarist wants to hide their copying. Tarantino copies, and if you notice he's copying, he's going to be excited because what he's doing isn't plagiarism. He's sort of paying tribute or homage to some of his favorite movies. Now, sometimes these movies that he loves, no one's ever heard of. Most people have not watched Switchblade Sisters. I have. But some of these are movies people have never heard of. And Tarantino likes to put little things in his movies that are copies, little bits and pieces, little music here, a costume there, a fight move over here, a line of dialogue over there, and he fills his movies with copies from other movies. But it's because he wants you to know where he's coming from. These are his favorite movies, and so he puts little details from them in his movies, sort of like a DJ mixing things up. So I think Tarantino's not a plagiarist, but again, it's a little tricky and a little complicated. Because you can't go, oh, I took this quote and put it in my paper because I was trying to, pay homage or do a tribute to my favorite author. Like, you can't do that. So, yeah, and I'll have a video for you to show you some examples. If you're not familiar with Quentin Tarantino, I'll have a video down there. And actually, I mentioned DJs, so let's talk about DJs for a second. What do DJs do? Well, DJs play other people's music. And that's fine. You can DJ for your wedding, and your DJ is going to play all kinds of music by other people. It's fine. But sometimes there are some DJs do fancy stuff, mashup DJs, and I'll have some music for you in this playlist so you can see some examples of the mashup DJ. Mashup DJs do something really interesting. It's actually one of my favorite types of music. Mashup DJs will take music by 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people, and play them all at the same time, so that the beat from one song lines up with the horns from another song, lines up with the rap from a third song, plays them all at once. It sounds like you're listening to something you've never heard before, but what he's done is he's essentially playing one song on top of another song on top of another song. He's manipulated it so it lines up and sounds like it's one song. My favorite example of this is by a DJ named Girl Talk. And Girl Talk has an album called All Day. It's one of my favorite albums ever, and if you exercise, it is the greatest exercise album that has ever been created. All Day by Girl Talk. It's on YouTube. It's amazing. What DJ Girl Talk does is that it is a 71-minute album, and he plays other people's music for 71 minutes, but he plays 374 songs in 71 minutes. How does he do that? Because he plays them all at the same time, and he'll play one song and he'll put another song underneath it, and then this first song ends and another song comes on, and he puts a beat from the third song underneath that, and then this one dies off and he adds another song. So it's almost like listening to music by turning the dial on the radio. You know what I mean? Like, it keeps changing and changing and changing. Now the crazy thing about this is that DJs who do this kind of stuff, and you'll have some examples in the YouTube playlist. DJs who do stuff like this they've essentially created a new song. How did they create a new song? They created a new song out of other people's songs. So, like, a normal musician might play a song by pushing notes on the piano keyboard, but DJs can create new songs by playing not notes but other people's songs. And they mix them and match them in complicated ways. And what's confusing and complicated is they've essentially created a new work of art. But they did it by combining other people's works of art. Now, notice, you cannot write a paper for me where you take one paragraph from this website and one paragraph from this website and one paragraph from this website and put them all together and turn it in. That's plagiarism. I'll give you 0 on that. But a DJ can take a little bit of this song and a little bit of that song and a little bit of this song and a little bit of that song and play them in a row or all together or all at once and almost create a new song by doing that. And you'll hear some examples. But it's not plagiarism. Why? He's not trying to trick you. Just like the Quentin Tarantino example, these are famous songs by famous people. He's not claiming he wrote the song. You're not it's Beyonce. She's like the most famous person in the world. If you hear a little bit of a Beyonce song, you're gonna be like, oh, that's Beyonce. So it's not a trick. It's almost like common knowledge, right? I said you don't need to put quotation marks around it. You don't need to put a footnote to explain who the president of the United States is or when World War II ended, because the songs are so famous. Now, this gets trickier if you start using less famous songs. So, for example, there was a little problem a couple of years ago, or many years ago, I guess, where a rap musician, I don't remember who, I'm sorry, a rap musician did a rap song, hip-hop song, on top of like a Indian-sounding beat, but he didn't say where he got it from. Now, in India, it's an extremely famous song, but in America, no one had ever heard of it. And so some people thought he wrote that sort of Indian-sounding beat underneath the rap song, and there was some confusion, and he got in a little bit of trouble. But again, because that sort of feels like plagiarism. It's not information that everybody has. So it's tricky and it's complicated, because if you do it wrong, people may be confused. And if they're confused, you're in plagiarism territory, because it means you're making something someone else did look like you did. Okay, cool. This is going pretty well. All right, I'll see you in the next video.